Hey, welcome to the Ingram Warrior YouTube channel right here on Ingram Warrior YouTube channel. All right, joining me right now is Coach Tate Damasco. Coach, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Hey, all right, another year has gone by and everything. Let's just talk about this year. This is your second year. So, what was the difference about this year's team against last year's team?
Change is hard. Anytime there's change, there's adjustments. And so last year, at times, it was a struggle. Asking them to do some things that they're not accustomed to doing and doing them our way. And so you could see the growth from year one to year two. Obviously, we felt like we performed a lot better than we did in year one. But to be honest, we had goals set before the year and we didn't reach them. So right now it's kind of a time of reflection. Things we need to do better, coaching-wise. Things we need to do better playing-wise. That's what this time is for. And so we're working through all that, and we'll start our quality control meetings here offensively and defensively and kind of figure out the nooks and crannies that gave us some problems. And, the first thing that jumps to my mind is turnovers. We had a lot of turnovers. You eliminate some of those turnovers, some of those games are a little closer. But I can't fault the kids' effort. I mean, even the second half against Llano the other night, they're getting after it, and we're moving the ball, and we're getting some stops and things like that. You can't fault their effort. As we've kind of reflected through several staff meetings this week, the thing is we felt like we caught the people we needed to catch. The Bradys, the Ballingers. You look at it, San Angelo TLCA was one of our non-district wins. Yep. They took our spot in our old district, and they're in the playoffs this week. Comfort. We wanted to beat Comfort. We did that. We accomplished that. But now and they're in the playoffs. Yeah. So now we're still the chaser. And at some point we're not going to be the chaser. We're going to be they're going to be chasing us. And so our goal moving forward, starting Monday, is we need to catch Randolph, Blanco, Llano, and Marion and Luling. Yeah. And we're going to do things. We're going to tailor things to where we can hope close that gap like we felt like we did in our old district last year.
I mean, when you're talking about the district, it is really one of the biggest, toughest districts in the state of Texas. When you already put Llano, you already put the Blanco. Those guys right there, tradition when it comes to making the playoffs.
Right.
And then Marion, you never know where they're going to be. Luling, that was a surprise right there. But then you have Randolph. I mean, so when you think about it like that, the way you guys played those guys, you were right there.
Yeah, a couple mistakes here or there, and maybe a couple of those games turned. But the thing is I was talking to somebody last week, and we have regional rankings, and Carl Padilla does it from the Padilla Bowl, and I think there's 30-something teams in our region, and we ended up being ranked 13th in the region. But the funny thing is 1 through 6. 5 of our teams in our district are ranked 1 through 6 in the region, and one of those teams didn't make the playoffs. We joke about the district we're in. We view it kind of like the SEC West. Everybody's good. You've got to bring your A game every time, and so looking at those teams, there's probably a good chance that all 4 of those teams are going to meet up in the regional semis and go to the regional finals. And Blanco and Llano are really good, and Llano may be a few breaks away from us watching them play in Cowboy Stadium for a state championship. They're that good, and I'm really impressed with what Coach Green and those guys have done this year. And Coach Dixon does a great job, and Coach Ortiz at Randolph and Coach Langford he pulled off a big one last week against Marion. Yeah. And got in the playoffs, but they're as talented as anybody. It's a tough district. We had all district selections today, and you look at the names on the board, and you're going. And I've sat in 6A meetings, and I'm going, when they had the linebackers up there today, I'm going, whoa, that's 8 really good players that are up there on the board. Yeah. So all around the district is really tough, but we'll never view that as a challenge that we won't accept. Right. Our plan is to be in the middle of this sucker next year.
Right.
We're going to get our kids in a position to be successful, and we're going to find a way to get in. That's what we're going to do.
You have some seniors this year. I know it's going to be hard to miss them, but how big were they this year to help bring your youngsters up?
Yeah, they were absolutely awesome. The 8 of them did really well. They figured out what we needed from them, and they did that for us. And they led the locker room, probably one of the best locker rooms I've ever been involved with, just from a team perspective. No eye guys, always had each other's back, and so that starts with the seniors. So I appreciate everything they did.
Coach, with that, now looking with the other athletics, things that you got going on
Right.
for the rest of the year. Just talk about. I mean, I know you're focused on those athletics, as well. But how big is it for your football players that may not be participating in some of these things to be out there and doing what they do for the community
Sure.
of Ingram?
And we've talked about this before. I mean, that's something that needs to happen. A particular team's playing. If they don't win, we all lose. It's not this team, that team, this team, that team. It's us. And I'm pretty excited about our sports moving forward. I think we're in a good district, a good competitive district that we really compete in. And I wouldn't be surprised from here on out if all our teams didn't make the playoffs, which would be a huge step in the right direction out here.
Right.
And so that's kind of what my expectations are. And you kind of hire really good people and you kind of sit back and let them. You don't meddle in their business unless you have to. And
Right.
and I've hired some good people and some people kind of falling in my lap that are taking this program to the next level. And so anyway, the football guys will be out there supporting.
Yeah. Couple more questions, real quick. Game balls this year, offense, defense.
Offense, I mean, Kai Hightower did a lot of great things for us. One of the big surprises was Maverick Delgado.
Yes.
And, I think he ended up catching like 18 balls, 9 of them for touchdowns.
Yeah. How huge is that?
He grew up a lot from last year to this year. And obviously Preston Burrows was really, really, really good for us on offense on the things we asked him to do. And Sage, I thought Sage played well and did some things that gave us a chance. And then probably the biggest growth was up front, offensive line, and we took a step in the right direction with those guys up front: Tommy Tucker, Jacob Pritt, Caleb Wamper, Caleb Pritt, and Ty Merkel, and Andrew Lamone, who was beat up or kind of hurt the last couple of weeks to get a chance to play. But they were absolutely night and day from last year. Defensively, you still have Jacob Pritt and Curtis Wampler. Matt Wells contributed a lot. Preston Burrows was good in the secondary. Our freshman Bowden Zip is the second on the team on tackles, and so he's got a great future. And so, I mean, I from what we asked them to do, I think if it's one of those deals, and I'm not into handing out trophies, but I think they all did pretty good.
Awesome, Coach. And then one final question. I mean, next year coming up with football. Just talk about the training and the expectation, not just from you, but from the coaches to the players of next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to take it up one more notch. The first year you give them the expectations and you lay the foundation. The second year you kind of put the boards up, and the third year you defend it. So,
right.
The telltale sign is going into next year, what's going to happen. The boards are up, and now we got to defend what we built. And so our expectation is next year when we're sitting here, we're going to be playing a game against somebody. And we will never back down from that or say, well, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen. And so, we felt like we made some improvements. I mean, we won 2 more games than we won last year.
Yeah.
We need to win, 2 or 3 more. And this time next year we're playing, and that's what our goal is, and that's what we're going to start talking about on Monday, and the belief that we can get it done. And so once we get there and we get a taste of it, then this place is going to take off, and then and hopefully we get a good winter spring where those sports have good years to kind of get us springboarded into the next football season.
All right. Well, Coach, congratulations on a big year.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming out and doing this. This won't be our last time together.
No, it won't ever.
And thank you for what you do for our kids out here in high school football and high school sports in the whole country. Y'all don't get enough credit, but you publicize our kids, and we can't thank you enough.
Well, we thank you, because without you, we wouldn't be doing what we do. All right.
Appreciate it.
Coach Tate Damasco of the Ingram Warriors Athletic Director and head coach. And when we come back, we'll have more right here. Hey, welcome back to the Ingram Warrior YouTube channel right here in Ingram, Texas. And joining me right now is Ingram head basketball coach for the girls, Jessica Fierro. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Hey, it's a big year this year. I mean, last year you had some youngsters and already kind of getting that practice in, getting the feel for the first games and stuff. Talk about this year's team and why is it so special this year?
It's special because we have a lot of young talent this year. I have 1 senior, 2 juniors, The rest are sophomores and freshmen. Majority of them are sophomores and freshmen. And that freshman group is really, really athletic. They hustle a lot. They get after it in whatever sport that they're playing. So I'm super excited to be working with them.
Last year, you know, you were learning the team was learning you. What is different? I mean, you've already had practices.
Yes.
So what is the difference between this year's team and from the first practice you already had?
All right, so you were there all those games. I mean, we took a lot of lumps, a lot of lumps. And I kept telling the girls, heads up, keep your heads up. Everything happens for a reason. This is going to help us next year. Going through this, you're going to learn how to go through some adversity. And I'll give them credit. They never gave up last year. They played hard every single second. So the big difference is we had our first scrimmage last night.
Yeah.
And night and day from last year to this year, they looked like they had been there before. They weren't rattled by the things that normally rattle them.
Yeah.
They still made quicker decisions that I wanted, but most of the time the decisions were good decisions. Whereas last year, it was just decisions made out of fear.
Yeah.
You know, just throwing the ball away or getting nervous because we're getting trapped. I mean, it was night and day. We did some good things in our press, got the ball up the floor. I mean, we finished an and one with our left hand, which would have never happened last year. They don't even know what left is. So they just look more mature, even though they're still very, very young. I think going through those lumps really helped them, okay, we know what this is like now.
Right.
We're not babies anymore. We did this last year. I think it's really, really helped them going through those lumps.
The growing pains of last year to this year, and you got some bigs this year. I mean, how huge
finally.
is that?
It is, because I had one last year, and you know she was prone to get into some foul trouble, and then we were like, well, what do we do? But yes, we have some big girls this year. That's going to be nice to get, you know, my junior Madison McClintock, to get her some rest in those moments and have someone that can come in and help bang around, get rebounds, you know, be that presence in the paint. So it's going to be huge.
And your leaders, I mean, you're already establishing the leaders, or they're already starting to establish on their own, or have you just kind of already said, hey, you're leading this team and this is how it is?
Yes and no. I have one senior who is the most basketball knowledgeable out of all of them, Macy Nutzi. She is the most pure basketball player that I have. So when I talk about things in practice, she knows exactly what I'm talking about, whereas the other girls look at me like, and I have to take a step back and break it down.
Right.
Okay, so there's that aspect of it. Like I said, the rest of them are very, very young. Now, I've talked to a couple of them about stepping up into those leadership roles, especially taking those young freshmen under their wing and being good role models, showing them how practice should go, showing them how to fight through that adversity. So it happens here and there, and I have more vocal leaders where I also have more leaders that are kind of laid back and kind of show by their actions type of deal.
Macy Nutzi's been playing since a freshman anyway.
Yes.
So, I mean, her vocalism out on the court, is she also taking under the wing of herself the youngsters to kind of help teach what you're showing them to do?
A lot of times when I forget something in a drill, she'll come behind me and say, wait, coach, and she'll explain it to the team. And I'm like, thanks, Mace, I forgot about that type of deal. She took it upon herself to go ahead and, like, things that I forgot about. We had our first scrimmage yesterday, and I didn't have travel bags for them. And she was like, Coach, they need travel bags. And she took it upon herself to go get that situated and organized. And she does those kind of things and kind of keeps me on top of stuff that I don't even want to think about. Like, it's not important to me. Like, let's just go put our shoes on and play. So, yeah.
How big is Miss McClintock? Because, I mean, when she's been playing for a couple of years, she knows the ropes. She's been there through the tough times and on the good wins. How big is her leadership this year?
It means a lot to have her support. Like, last year as a new coach, I didn't even think she was going to play. And I was so happy that she came out and played because volleyball is her love. But I think she understood how much she was going to help our dynamic by just being out there. And I think that having the lumps that we had this year helped her in volleyball this year, staying positive and things like that. But just having her, she sometimes is a vocal leader, but she is one of the most positive kids that are out there. And she really isn't a true basketball player. And so she gets frustrated sometimes when she can't do certain skills because she's an athlete.
Right.
But she takes the coaching. She tries to do everything that I tell her to do. And then on top of that, she has my back with the young ones, so to speak, when I need it. And when I need to get onto her, she takes it and just says, yes, ma'am. In fact, she always says, like, Coach, tell me what I'm doing because I know you're never going to lie to me. I know you're going to tell me the truth.
Right.
And she told me that last year. She said that's one of the things that I appreciate that about you. And I really took that to heart. That made me feel good that she looks at me that way because I was totally worried about losing her and her not even playing at all.
I mean, like, she is a daddy's player because, you know, he was a good player back in the day as well, so that always helps as well. But, I mean, the youngsters coming up and stuff like that, that have just kind of, this is their first year in varsity.
Yes.
So talk about them and as far as them buying into your program because, I mean, your program is proven to be a winning program as long as everybody just kind of buys into that.
Yes, and so that was the hard part about being a first-year coach. And I came in and they literally knew nothing. Not how to defend a screen, not how to help on an on-ball screen, not how to be in help defense, like not even how to really shoot the ball. I mean, we've started from scratch. And I am very thankful being at a smaller school because I was able to be down at the junior high quite a bit. So I got to work with those girls.
Right.
And I think that some of them knew that I was at Tybee and the success that we were able to create there, and I think that they were really excited about that. And I am too. So those young ones, they've told me we're really excited. We can't wait to work with you. That type of deal. But even those girls, so like Maddie McClintock, Kenna Nichols, Alec Alvarado, Cadence Woodruff, Addison Stoltz, all those girls they just came out of volleyball. So we literally had 2 days to try to get them ready, and then we had to go play that scrimmage. So they've bought in and been there and focused and paying attention and asking questions of the older girls, and it's been great. It's been great. As soon as they got there, intensity went up, athleticism went up. You know, it was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that hadn't had happened in a long time.
Yes.
The fun.
Yes.
How big is it that, I mean, these high school girls and supporting the junior high to help your program come up, how big is that? Because, I mean, they've been going and supporting and then also just kind of helping them in the transition.
It's very, very important for the junior high kids to see the young ladies they look up to at their games. It's very important. You can't build a program unless you've got that community type of support. And, you know, all the time in junior high practices, I say, you know, Maddie McClintock does this, or Rayleigh Nuzzi does this, or whatever, and they are like really listening about it. But it's very nice to see that older sister mentality up in the stands for your junior high kids. And the high school kids take it serious. Like Macy was one of the first ones to remind me about that. Coach, there's a junior high game tonight. And she's the one that said, guys, we need to be there. It's an expectation. We need to be there, and we need to support those girls. She was the first one to bring that up to my attention. So she's kind of like my little assistant to the assistant, keeping me straight on things that I'm not even thinking about.
Right. Coach, you have a pretty good district that's coming up this year. Just talk about the district, because there are some teams that, you know, been used to winning, and then there are the teams where they're the sleepers. We feel like Ingram is going to be that sleeper this year, where it's going to make some surprises and make well known.
I always felt like that last year. No lie. I went into every pregame film session saying we can win this game. And I truly believed it. I believe as soon as I get on the floor that I'm the best coach in the building, whether I am or not. It's that mentality you got to have, kind of like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant had. Like, you got to believe that you're the best person in the room. And I believe that, and I think a little bit of that rubbed off because they were wide-eyed in every pre-game. Like, remember, what does number 23 do? Oh, she's going to shoot the ball. Which way do we need to push her? They took it serious because they knew they were going to have a quiz about it. They took it serious. I thought we could have won games last year. And then we end up losing by 20, but I'd still be ready. We're winning this next one, right? And so this year, I think we are the sleeper, and people better not sleep on us.
Exactly.
I think before it used to be Ingram's on your schedule. Oh, it's an easy win. And if they don't know me, they know who I am now.
Exactly.
And they know I'm going to be prepared because even after some games, those coaches were coming up to me. And it kind of irritated me a little bit, but at the same time, it was a compliment from them.
Right.
Coach, girls look so much better than they did last time or last year. And I didn't know how to take that, you know, like, you know, they were kind of like, it's going to get better type of deal. And I'm like, I know it's going to get better.
You're preaching to the choir.
Right.
Exactly.
So I go in with that attitude, and we're going to win more than 3 games this year.
Absolutely. Couple more questions, Coach. You were under with Christy Deal over at Tybee.
Yes.
How big was that, you know, to not only put your flavor into what Christy Deal does at Tybee, but at the same time learning from her on her success of what she has done at Tybee?
So that is an interesting story. So when Stephanie Gamble left the program, Christy was the assistant and I was the freshman coach. And we were both worried because we did not want to work for someone else who was going to come in. And I definitely was not ready to be a head coach. So I was like, Christy, like, take it. Take it. I'll be your assistant. Like, we'll do this together. And I remember the conversation. She was like, Jess, are you sure? Like, are you going to be here? Like, you can't leave me. Like, are y'all going to be here for a few years? I was like, I got you. We're gonna do this. And so taking over the program together was kind of personal for us. And we truly did split the powers. You know, she was more of the defensive person and I was more of the offensive coordinator, and she let me do whatever I wanted on offense. If there was something that she didn't like, we would argue about it, and ultimately she would win the argument. But we had some lumps there in the early years. And then you know it's not all just coaching. You gotta have some talent in some years. And then when you have the talent and they can actually do what you're telling them to do, those plays and those defenses, that makes all the difference. So those years that we went to state, the players deserve a lot of the credit.
Right.
But what Christy and I did was build that program to where everybody had an expectation of, we're going to the playoffs, so we're going to area. Like, it was just already known that's what's going to happen. That's how we do things here.
Right.
And so that reputation kind of just trickled down, and then everything was so much easier from there.
Right.
Then you have other problems that you got to worry about, you know, like Phil Jackson problems and managing different, attitudes. But I miss her. Yeah. I miss her so much. I tried to get her to come here with me. I said, hey, man, let's go to Ingram. Yeah. Let's see if we can recreate what we've done at Tybee. I miss her. I miss leaning on her and vice versa. What we were able to do was a blessing. And this door opening was something that was unexpected, but she was the one that pushed me here. Good. She said, you need to go. And the sorrowful moment was, we always thought we were going to finish our career at Tybee together. Like, I had no interest in being a head coach at all. But she's the one that pushed me here. She was like, you can do this. You got this type of deal. So we've kept in touch. I miss her dealer. She's one of my best friends. Like, a huge chunk of our lives have been together in the basketball realm.
So with that, now you have your own assistant. Yes. How huge is that for you to have someone that you can kind of help bring up at the same time, coach the girls at the same time?
So Coach Crawley and I actually are college teammates.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we played ball together, so we're very, very close. So she was the first one that I asked because I wanted someone here that I could trust,
Right.
that's not going to undermine me or anything like that. So it was a learning process for her last year, just learning my system and all my lingo and the jargon and the plays. And so it was tough last year, but now it's like a sigh of relief because now she knows the play. She knows the inbounds play. She can take her team down there and do that same stuff. And she's the one keeping me positive and things like that. She does a lot of the other things that I don't have to worry about, like meal money and bus requests and things like that. So it's been great, and I really appreciate that I have someone that I've known for a very long time here with me.
Exactly. One word for about your team and why.
Right now, after 2 days, you're gonna ask me
Mm-hmm.
that. One word.
Because it'll come back another time when we interview again.
You're right. That's a difficult one. I wasn't prepared for that. I want to say relentless. So the next time you see me, you're going to see the relentlessness from them.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Really, I like it. That's awesome.
Yes.
All right.
We will not relent.
There you go.
All
Boom.
right.
All right, Coach. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you
That's
so much.
Jessica Fierro right there for the Ingram Lady Warriors. I'm telling you what, man. Sleeper? Nah. Cinderella? Just watch. This year.
Hashtag tribe, baby.
Boom. There you go. All right. We're going to come back. When we come back, we'll have the next one lined up right here in the hot seat, right here on the Ingram Warriors YouTube network. Boom. Hey, welcome back to the YouTube channel of the Ingram Warriors, and joining me right now is head basketball coach Ray Fierro. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, man, we've been through the lot together. I mean, first, Tybee, you come to Ingram, you went to Hondo.
I did.
Built that program up a little bit, then back here to back at Tybee, and then back at Ingram. That's pretty cool, man. But you had a lot of experience for what you have done going through around that corner.
Right.
Talk about this year's team compared to last year's team and what is on the table for the Ingram Warriors basketball.
Well, I think we were kind of like the girls in the sense that we had some young kids that I had to throw in the mix and actually start for our team, mixed in with some juniors. We had one senior. And out of the 9 kids that I had on the team, only 2 had varsity experience before.
Right.
So the kids didn't know how to play together. First of all, they didn't know how to play. They didn't know how to play at that level either. It was fast at first. I mean, I think it was pretty fast throughout the season for them. So there was a lot of learning to do, not just because them not being there and their lack of experience, but having a new coach. That's tough. That's always tough. So this year, I got all those guys back, except for one senior, and he's the only one that graduated. So we're looking to have a lot of improvement this year.
You got some bigs that like to play, but you have some outside shot, like especially when Kai Hightower comes in and the way, we've called some games where y'all battled back. It was a back and forth game and stuff, and then Kai Hightower takes over and some other guys. Just talk about the mentality with those kind of guys that will lead and just say, I want the doggone ball.
Right. So, I do have some kids that are excited about playing, and maybe 3 or 4 guards that can really go. You mentioned Kai, Aiden, who was another freshman for us last year. Brandon Martinez is going to help. He was a junior. He was injured some of the season last year. He's back and healthy. Preston Burrows was injured some of the season last year. He's back and healthy.
Outside
He's going to
shooter.
help out, yes. Ivan. I mean, we've got some kids that I'm excited about seeing them play and being healthy. And so, so some of those guys, such as Kai and Aiden, they want the ball in their hands when it's crunch time.
Yeah.
And again, some of them did it last year when they were freshmen. They weren't afraid.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that again. That they're not going to be afraid whenever it's crunch time.
Yeah, bigs like Sage Kanazy down low. I mean, he can put it up. You know, free throws were a big thing for him, but, you know, just getting on track with that. But having someone like a Sage Kanese that is not afraid to go get rebounds, I mean, that's got to be big.
So you got to have guys like that. Sage did a good job for us defensively inside and rebounding. I mean, as you know, we weren't very big. He was our biggest kid, probably standing at 6'1", 6'2", if that. I'm probably being generous there.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to him being even better this year than last year. Again, just having that extra year of experience under his belt. We did add another kid that came to us from OLH. He's going to help out as well.
Travis Hyde.
Austin McDormand, another big body kid, about the same size as Sage. So that's going to be a good addition, and we're expecting those guys to get that dirty work done, the rebounding, just playing defense down low.
Coach, you're not afraid to schedule up some great tournaments and also pre-district games. How big is that for you guys for that experience?
Well, you know, sometimes you got to do that to see where you actually fit. Where do you fall, and how are your kids going to react to playing up to some of those 4A teams, you know, or just the bigger schools that have more kids than we do, or bigger kids than we do. You want to see how they react early on, and from there make changes, make tweaks that you need to, and get them ready for district.
San Antonio schools this year, anything from down there, or like in the Hondo, you're gonna play Hondos?
So
I haven't looked at the schedule.
Right. So in our pre-district, I mean, we play. You know, we open up with Johnson City and Junction, and then we jump up and play Divine, who's a classification bigger than us. Lee Academy, who's been ranked the last few years in 2A, they're going to be solid. We're going to play a Fredericksburg. We're going to play, I think, a Navarro, a couple other 4A schools. Well, we've got Hondo as well. So we are playing up. You know, again, that's to see where we are.
Right.
You know, and you want that tough schedule early on to get those guys ready when it comes to district.
And what's nice is some of those schools that you just mentioned were playoff contention last year. And so with that, how does that help you with your leaders, knowing the schedule and knowing what's ahead and already been there, done that?
Well, and that's, if we know we're playing somebody, and I'll tell the guys, hey, this team was a 4A playoff team last year. This team was a 3A playoff team last year. That way they kind of get that idea in their head. All right. And then when the game's over, they can make their own assessment. Well, that wasn't too bad. Or, Coach, we can compete. We can do this. You know, we can do this. And now that kind of either eases their mind. Sometimes it might scare them. You don't know. Yeah. But you've got to play those games, and that way those guys can figure it out on their own as well.
Right.
You know, they're not just relying on the coach.
You have some guys that are not afraid to shoot when they have the opportunity. It's something that you kind of allow them to do, just what, you know, like, hey, if it's right there, take that shot? Or is it something that you just kind of, you know, you got certain things you want them to get done first?
There's certain guys that have the green light, so to speak, and there's certain guys that don't. Right. And if they're in rhythm and it's a good pass and they got their feet set, then, and if they have the green light, I'm going to let them shoot it. Yeah. You know, and there's guys obviously that maybe don't shoot the ball so well, but they're streaky. And that you know that when the game is on the line, that they're going to have a good chance of putting it in because they want the ball in their hands, like a Brandon Martinez, right? The kid may have missed his first 8 shots, but he's going to want the ball in his hands at the end of the game.
Exactly.
So it's a give or take in that situation. The guys know who's allowed to shoot the ball and who's not.
Exactly. Coach, you have a big, tough district this year. You know, with that said, where does Ingram work for you, with you, kind of set with those other guys? You know,
Blanco last year was head and shoulders above everybody. They had some big kids and were ranked top 5, I think, in the state. You know, they lost that starting 5, lost all those kids. They'll reload, so I'm expecting them to be pretty good again. Llano brings everybody back, and they were huge. They had some big old kids, and they had some good guard play, very physical. I think you have to put them when you're talking about one of the best teams in the district. You got to put them up there in that conversation. And I think we're right there in the mix. After that, I think we're there with what we're bringing back and the experience that we have, the work that these guys put in the summer. I think we're right there.
And how big is those summer programs for you?
You know, the kids, I give them a lot of credit because I put them in a summer league in San Antonio, and about 7, 8 of them were there every day, and they made the commitment and drove up there once, twice a week, and played 2, 4 games because they wanted to get better. They knew the expectations.
Right.
And for some of these guys, it's their senior year, so they knew it was going to be their last go around, and they want the best for themselves.
This year's team from last year's team, what is so different besides the one senior growing and just,
Well, 2 things. Obviously, the experience that we talked about. They've got that varsity experience under their belt. And then the second thing is I've been here now. This is the second year. So the system is more familiar to them now. Just like I just got the football kids Monday.
Right.
And they're already picking up on our, offensive sets, offenses, defensive calls, and things like that. So I'm not having to teach from scratch.
Right.
I'm just reteaching things that they already should know, and they do. The things are coming back, and they're like, "Oh yeah, coach, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember what to do here. I know what that is." That's huge. That's huge because you're not starting over.
Right.
You know?
It's not like having to teach them how to draw in the sand.
Right. So that's big.
Coach, I mean, when you were at Tybee, you went to you came here to Ingram, got your first experience at head coaching, went to Hondo, come back. What do you take with all of that you have been to bring for Ingram now?
I was at Tybee for many, many years, and Brian Young was there forever. Coach Young, and
we thought he was gonna just end up dying
well,
on the court.
the dude is so intense,
Yeah, he is.
so intense. But I learned a lot from him. We all did. Anybody that was ever around him learned a lot from Coach Young. On top of what you guys see on the sideline, being so intense and red faced and just getting crazy, he was a great basketball mind, especially defensively. Just the whole X's and O's. I was lucky. That I got to work for probably one of the best basketball coaches in the area and in the state for that matter. I know he's won a lot of basketball games, so I took a lot of what he had and what he showed us. Took a lot of his stuff and I kind of put it the way I wanted to put it and coach to my personality, the way I like to do it. And there's things that I tweaked. There's things that I said, well, I don't want to do that. But a lot of the mentality comes from Brian Young. He had a formula that worked. Right. It worked for many, many years. While we were there, while I was an assistant, we never missed the playoffs. So I knew that what we were doing was working. Right. So like I said, I took a lot of that from him and then from a lot of the opponents that we played against.
Yeah.
You had the Stan Leaches.
Yeah.
You had the Charlie Bogus. You had all those guys out of San Antonio, those big schools that were great coaches.
Yeah.
A lot of them are retired now, but they're legends.
Yeah. And
I got to be around a lot of good basketball.
Yeah.
So I took all of that.
Yeah.
And then I took some of that to Hondo, my experiences there, here, and again, making that full circle and back over here again. So it's been fun. This is my 21st year now. Long time.
Yes, sir. I've known him that long. Just saying. Coach, when it comes down to the district, and of course, you're going to have some tournaments coming up.
Right.
The experience with your guys now, who do you already know that's like the leader, the vocals, the one that is going to be, whatever Coach Fierro says, I'm going to help him on the court with my guys? That's
an interesting question. So the new kid that just came in, great kid, came in and said, Coach, I'm excited to play for you. He looked me right in my eyes and said, Coach, I'm excited to play for you, and I'm ready to do whatever you ask me to do. He's been a guy that's come in.
And just for the record, say
Austin McDormand.
Okay,
yeah, Austin McDormand. I'm sorry, from our transfer that came in from OLH. But he's come in and has kind of taken that role.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him to do it. I didn't ask him to do it. He just took it upon himself. When we do our little routine stretches, he's our leader. He's our stretch leader. When there's things going on, he's the guy that's going to say something. And I didn't have to do anything. He just kind of took that upon himself, so that's awesome.
How big is your guys going to the younger generations of the junior highs and the JV and the freshman games and stuff like that to just kind of pull them up into what you're trying to teach?
Right. So it's good that we as coaches, that head coaches, get to be in that junior high athletic period so that you can kind of set the foundation there. And our kids, for example, we just got out of practice earlier, and I had 5 or 6 junior high kids coming to watch.
Nice.
And they knock on the door, Coach, can we get, yeah, come on.
That's awesome.
Come and watch. And being in a small school, small community, everybody knows everybody. So our older kids kind of like having those little kids around.
Yeah.
You know, they feel like they're little heroes to those guys. And vice versa, the young kids like to watch those older kids. And it's exciting for me because I know that they want to be there.
So that's like exciting for the future as well.
Exactly.
Because this is your third.
So
this will be your third year.
Second year.
Back at Ingram.
Yeah, second year back at Ingram. Yes, sir.
So I mean, it's still building.
Still building. So I'm excited about what we got coming up. You know, obviously, like I said, starting from the 7th grade and going forward, we've got some good kids coming up, and just the fact that I get to be around them the whole time, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun. So I'm excited about Ingram basketball's future.
One final question: game night dinners. Have you already figured that out?
Game night dinners.
Come on now.
Gosh.
I mean, I'm almost there.
This is stupid, but what I usually do is I try to sneak out of here real quick before we start getting the gym set up, and I go to Sonic, and I get a big Dr. Pepper and just a junior burger with ketchup and nothing else on it, and that's it. Nothing special.
Not a watermelon Dr. Pepper.
Nope.
Just a Dr. Pepper.
Just a Dr. Pepper.
And you had to have ketchup on that burger?
Ketchup on that burger. Only on the junior burger. I don't have it on any other kind of burger. Just that one.
There you go. Coach, excited and super stoked about your year this year. I know with the experience from last year, compared, now we're coming up with this year, a lot of good things. And as, like we were talking about before, Ingram, like people just think that y'all are going to be the sleeper, but it's ready to make some noise this year.
Well, I think that they might be right. Like I said, I'm excited. The kids are excited. There's a different kind of energy with these kids.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but I know they're focused. I know they're focused right now, and they're ready. They're ready for that first game, and so I'm just excited as they are. So, yeah, we're ready.
Maybe they want some of those junior burgers with ketchup on them. Maybe.
They eat a whole lot more than that. Those kids can eat.
They can eat. Yeah. That's true. Coach Fierro, thank you so much. Had a lot of interviews with you over the years, man, and looking forward to more as well. So, all right. That's it. That's what we're going to do right here on the Ingram Warrior YouTube channel. Until next week, we are out of here. Boom!